This is Benjamin, and quite a few of you have asked me to do Welsh lessons for learning the language. And so we're going to take apart the grammar going all the way through over I don't know how many bite-sized videos. This is just the first of many. Now we're still doing other stuff on this channel, as I've said in another video. But this book, Grammatiga Cymraeg, I'm going to go through a lot of this, and I like how it begins because Welsh, if you're learning it, one of the first things you need to understand is that it is a verb-first language. The action word, the doing word, comes first. Now, there is more than one construction for a sentence, so that's not always the case, but even in those cases, it's the case. You'll see what I mean in the videos to follow. But we have to begin with a Celtic language in the verb. And I think if you're learning Welsh, the verb, the action word, is the best place to start learning. So let's get started. Most Indo-European languages are not like English. English works like Chinese does, in a way. It's just one word, one slot, one box. But Welsh works a bit like French in that we squish words together, we fuse them. It's a fusional language. We fuse words together with the pronoun and the action. That's called a conjugation. So let me show you what I mean. Canais. Canais. This means I sang. And what you get from this are three very important things. You know who is doing the action. It's me from this AIS bit. You know how many are doing it. Just one, just me. And you know when it happened. It's in the past. So you can see already the verb in Welsh is a bit more important than in English. And it's even more so when we understand that we have fewer verbs, which means that we use verbs in multiple ways that are not done in English. Like Kyle, I have a video on it, but it means to get, to be able to have, to get, and there's a whole host of meanings that go with that. See my video on it. So the verb is more nuanced in Welsh than it is in English. But let's look at more examples here. Ysgrifennais nodyn. I wrote a note. Ysgrifennwyd nodyn. A note was written. Ysgrifennu nodyn. Writing a note, or to write a note. So how it changes the meaning of the sentence, and it seems subtle to you as an English speaker, but for people who speak languages like French or many Slavic languages, I'm sure many other Indo-European languages, that's just basic. That you squish things together like that. That's basic. Now we have a longer way of writing it or saying it, which I don't get why native speakers prefer it, because for me it seems a bit needlessly complicated, but it's a long-winded way of saying it, and it's more like English. It's less fusional and more analytic like English and Chinese. So rydw i'n ysgrifennu llythyr. I am writing a letter. Rydw i'n ysgrifennu llythyr. And there's other ways to say this which are nowadays more formal, which I prefer, but I'm not going to go into now. Let's move on. The verb can act like a noun, meaning it can act like a thing. So for instance, fy nghanu, my singing. Okay? And you notice that the possession comes before it. That's basic in Celtic languages. And then if it's being described without possession, Kanida, kanida, good singing. Good singing. So it's sharing the traits of verbs and nouns there. Now just a small further bit on this verb bit. We have endings, which you can identify and know exactly what tense or what form it's in. And as soon as you learn these, you'll be able to see it across the language and it will help you. So, smile, gwenu. Gwenu is to smile. And the root of that is gwen. Gwen, a smile. That U is a suffix, meaning the end bit that you add on. And that U is the most common verb ending in Welsh. Now, the O ending is catching up, but because this language was formed out of a fusion of Latin and British, that E sounding U ending is still the most common. But look at the O. Syrthio. Syrthio, to fall. But, and you need to know this up front, many verbs don't have these endings. You have many ways to express a verb in Welsh. So, like this one, agor, to open. Chwara, to play. Amai, to suspect. Meddwl, to think. Song, to mention or to sound. Cyrraedd, to reach, or sometimes in some cases to extend, but more to reach. And there's not always a verb for each noun or a noun for each verb in Welsh like there is in English. And I think learners mix that up. So that's just a very vague beginning episode for this grammar that we're going to begin. And we're going to go further into the verb next time.